So you will have seen plenty of videos on these bikes. You know what it looks like. This is Dalgety Bay, St David's Harbour, and that's the fourth rail bridge over there, and we've just come from over that side, well, over that way really, and made our way back to here. This is my famous spot for getting a photograph. I quite like to pull up here at the end of a ride, but you know, I think it's just become such a bonny looking bike, and I was never really a fan of the sort of adventure styling. I've never been a great massive adventure lover. I like the functionality of them, I like sitting on them, I like riding on them, but they're not the kind of bike as a schoolboy I would ever have put on my wall, not that they existed then. A proper bike for me is a good old fashioned twin exhaust, naked looking bike. That's the ultimate bike for me. But nobody really makes anything like that anymore. So anyway, here it is, my new steed, and let's see what this brings, what adventures this brings. Let's see where we take this one. I'm hoping that this is a pinnacle moment. I'm not going to say towards the end of my riding career, but the start of it, the start of the changes I think that I've had to make for various reasons. Here's hoping that, you know, I have a few stories to tell about this bike. Well, I couldn't ask for a nicer day to have picked up this bike. You will be aware that on the earlier videos I test rode the Transalp and I test rode this, and I was really blown away by this bike, and now I own one. So this is my new NC750. Amazingly, I was amazed at the number of views this bike got. I think it's only been up a couple of weeks and it's over 7k views, so it just shows you how popular this bike seems to be. It really does seem to have a huge following. Now I will say that just to go over those videos, I probably didn't make it really clear what I was looking for that day, but basically what I was looking for was a bike that I could commute on, that I could do a bit of touring on, and that I could just basically go out, you know, like I do, and go round the roads of Scotland and a lot of the back roads, that kind of stuff. This is stuff I've always done. I wasn't looking for an adventure bike, and I wasn't worried about high performance. So if you were looking for an adventure bike, then obviously the Transalp would have been the sort of the one to be looking at, more so than this. I mean, this is an adventure style bike, but it's a road bike, you know. And I realised that also the other thing that I was really keen on, which is what brought me to the NC first of all, was the DCT. And I was looking at buying an Africa Twin again, but I just couldn't stomach the costs. And, you know, it'll become clearer later on why I went this way. But this was sort of the cheapest way into DCT, and I hadn't test rode an NC for some time, and although I always could appreciate how great sort of daily transport they could be, and especially equipped with the DCT, I hadn't really been on one for quite a long time. I do feel that it has matured and kind of gone up sort of into a bit more of a premium feel about it. I mean, remembering that this, in the grand scale of motorcycles, it's not an expensive motorcycle, but I do feel that the current version of it, the fit and finish of it, just looks fantastic, and I think everything's so well integrated. And I do love this colour. The demo bike I rode was this colour, and I do really like it. I did find out that from what I believe, that only the green and the black have the Dublo finish. The red and the white don't. Really sold it to me that day was the DCT, because I just love DCT anyway, and because of my left hand, because of the issue I have with my left hand, I always felt that DCT would be back on the cards at some point, would have to be back on the cards. Now this has got the adjustable tall screen on it, that I got that in with the deal. I got a centre stand fitted. I'm waiting on the heated grips, the Honda ones, and the USB charger. I've ordered a nice bag for the frunk or trunk, whatever you want to call it, a nice Honda one, and I've got a hugger, I've got a front fender extender. I have bought handlebar risers, which I might or I might not fit. They weren't expensive. And I've got the radiator guard, and then I've also bought the Givi back rack and rails, and a Givi Trekker 52 litre sort of plastic adventure type box, and I am going to get the 46 litre bags to go with it, and the rails, and the Givi removable system, so you could take the rails off when you're not using them. Basically, this bike is easy to service. You know, one of the things that always attracted me to the NC750 was the fact that it's just got old-fashioned screw lock nut tappets, so feeler gauges and a tool when you can adjust your own valve clearances. So I mean, most of the stuff that I will do now will be on this bike, and I'm hoping to take it round and about a lot of the Scottish roads, because I feel it's a great bike for the back lanes and that. You know, it's the weight's low down, it's, you know, I've got a really good footing on it. Vary the throttle a bit, get broken in. Now when you're filtering, it's always the danger is when traffic's joining from the left, cars will pull over to let the traffic in, so you've just got to be aware of that. I will try and fit some of the accessories tomorrow, and try and get them all fitted before next weekend or before next Friday. I may well video some of that. I went with the Givi stuff just because the Honda stuff's quite expensive and it's not that readily available, and I needed to get a top box fitted for next weekend, so I went with the Givi stuff, which is a lot cheaper, you know, a lot cheaper. And when you consider the Honda rack for this is what, £350, I got a rack, a plate, and a 52 litre Givi Trekker top box for £420, so it's just so much cheaper. And I think, you know, what I started off by saying, you know, the context of me test riding the Trans Am and the NC was that I was looking for a bike that I can commute, tour, weekend, bimbling around. a lot of the power in the Transalp, the extra brake horsepower, you've got to use the engine revs to get that. And I wouldn't be riding the bike like that. I'd be riding it very much like I'm riding this. So, although the Transalp would have given me a lot more power, I really didn't feel that where the power was is where I would need it. And that was kind of brought me back to the DCT, that it was a DCT that really drew me to looking at this bike. It's what drew me to looking at, you know, first of all the Africa Twin again, and thinking maybe I could go back down that route. It's a long story I'm not going to go into right now, but needless to say, I decided that it didn't really suit my needs of what I was trying to achieve. It wasn't cost effective. I mean, if money was no option, I could fill a football stadium with motorbikes, and make a valuable excuse for having every single one. I will give this bike a good try out. Once I get it running, I'll go over it all. I'll take it out and we'll get some real life journeys, and you'll get to see how it operates. I've been riding bikes 44 and a bit years, and I've had all kinds of bikes and many fast bikes, so I'm well used to getting past things, having the power. So I will see, there I am already creeping up to 79 mile an hour, and it honestly didn't feel, I wasn't even aware that I was doing that speed there. So it is, you know, it's more than adequate for normal transport, and you can still have a bit of fun with it on the twisties. Way back in the day when I started out, a 500cc bike was considered to be a big bike. Now this is where this bike excels, and this is where the DCT for me is just glorious. And this is you know, I know that if I put the 46 litre luggage on it, and I might still consider whether I put 46 litre bags on it, because that might make it quite wide. It'll be less suitable for filtering, but without any luggage on it, the filtering is incredible, and I feel very confident filtering. I mean, I am one of life's confident filterers anyway. Guy indicating there, I don't know what he's going to do. There's a guy behind me, so I might let him past. Let him take the way. Functionality, I think that's it. You get older, you begin to just desire functionality more than, you know, all the sexy juicy bits. But boy, this is great. And somebody asked me about the screen. I think the screen's really good. I've got it on the highest setting. This is an adjustable screen, remember. I've got it on the highest setting, and I think it works really, really well. But it's just so great to be back on DCT. It is a technology that I absolutely love. And I think to get it on a bike like this, it's just superb. To get this sort of same technology that's sitting on an Africa Twin or a Gold Wing, and you're getting it on a bike like this. I mean, if you take this bike, it costs £8,399. Now, that has hardly gone up in 4 years. I think 4 years ago it was £8,299 or something like that. I've no doubt you could get them on deals a bit cheaper, but it's gone up maybe £100 or £150 in 4 years. I think the bike has just, you know, matured even more since then. And to get DCT, you know, if you consider this as £8,399 and a Gold Wing will cost you 32 grand, you know, so okay, granted, a Gold Wing is a completely different kettle of fish to this, but I've had a Gold Wing, and you know, this will go around and do a trip, the same trip as a Gold Wing. It always takes me back to when I did the NC500 with Will the very first time, and I was on my big Gold Wing and he was on his CB500X, and it dawned on me that, Christ, you know, his bike was worth a sixth of what my bike was worth, and he was having just the same experience and the same fun as I was having, and it, you know, he paid so much less for it. There's a bit of minor overtaking, nothing major, but well within its capability, and very comfortable. But this is just so easy to live with. Now, no major concerns. I mean, I had a good test ride that day, an hour and 20 minutes, so if I find the seat a bit uncomfortable, then I'll know the comfort seat's the answer, or a better seat. But at the moment it's not too bad, it's fine. You know, what I've learnt as I've gotten older and my body is not in the same, I mean, I keep myself fit, I go out running, and you know, I'm quite fit, but you know, 61 years has taken its toll, along with quite a few bits of major surgery. And I find nowadays that as long as I go out and keep my shoulders moving, and the great thing about this bike is you can stand up, all these things just alleviate that onset pain setting in where you're absolutely in serious discomfort. Anyway, let me pull over